The morning the fence appeared, the valley felt different, a long wall of cedar. Boards cut straight across the ranch road tall, enough to block the sun and deliberate, enough to feel personal cars, slowed as drivers tried to understand why such a massive structure had been built. Overnight neighbors whispered uneasy and confused because one truth stood out immediately. The fence was never meant for safety. It was meant to keep someone out behind it. Stood a ranch owned by a quiet, hardworking black man who had spent years caring for every inch of his land his cattle grazed, peacefully unaware that a battle he never asked for was forming around him. For months he had received letters from the HOA, warnings about violations he never committed, accusations crafted without evidence, and new rules designed to target him. While ignoring everyone else, they questioned his equipment, his barn, and even the color of his roof. None of it made sense except for the fact that someone wanted him gone, but he stayed calm, tending to his fields and living with a dignity the HOA could not understand. Still, the harassment intensified. HOA inspectors walked the perimeter of his property with clipboards, cars idled near his driveway at night, and gossip spread through meetings, twisting concerns about community standards into quiet prejudice. Then one morning the fence appeared, tall, fresh, and locked, without notice or approval and without any legal right to exist. The message was clear. They believed they could trap him, isolate him, and pressure him into giving up the land he worked so hard for. What the HOA did not know was that the road they blocked was not theirs. Years earlier, when he bought the ranch, he discovered an old boundary map, proving the entire road belonged to his property. He never mentioned it because he never needed to, but now everything had changed. Instead of reacting in anger, he examined the fence, noted the lock, and went about his day calmly. His silence made the HOA believe he had surrendered, but in truth, it was strategy. Days later, the locked gate had a different lock, his lock, and the key the HOA proudly held no longer worked because the fence stood on land he owned. He had every right to secure it. Residents trying to use the road grew frustrated. Delivery trucks rerouted, and the HOA started to panic as control slipped from their hands. Whispers spread again, but this time not about him. Instead, they questioned the HOA's choices and whether the fence was legal inside. Emergency meetings board members argued nervously about fines, costs, and the possibility they had overstepped their authority. Their confidence crumbled when a certified boundary map appeared in their mailbox, revealing the truth in undeniable detail. The fence sat entirely on private land, and the HOA had trespassed, built without permission, and restricted access illegally. Residents gathered near the fence as surveyors arrived to verify the lines. The crowd watched as measurements were taken, compared, and confirmed. And when the surveyor delivered the final verdict, everything changed. The fence was illegal. The road belonged to the ranch owner, and the HOA had no authority. The community erupted with anger, demanding explanations and accountability. The board tried to speak, but their excuses collapsed under pressure. Then the moment came that no one would forget. The man stepped forward, calm, steady, and dignified. He did not accuse or raise his voice. He simply walked to the gate, inserted his key, and unlocked it. The chain dropped with a sharp metallic snap, and he swung the gate open with quiet authority. The HOA stood frozen as residents watched in stunned silence. The man they tried to push out had never been powerless. He simply chose patience over fury. Within days, under pressure from the community, the HOA voted to remove the fence. Workers arrived to dismantle the boards, and every plank pulled from the ground felt like justice being restored. But the moment that stayed with the valley came afterward. When the workers left, the man walked to the empty strip of earth, knelt, and placed a small wooden marker into the soil. It was not anger and not revenge, just a simple reminder of the lesson learned. Soon residents added flowers and small stones, and someone placed a painted rock that read, "May we never build walls where bridges are needed." HOA board members resigned one by one, and the community changed, realizing how deeply prejudice had shaped decisions. The man returned to his ranch, living with the same calm resilience he always had, never seeking revenge, simply letting truth speak louder than rage. His open gate became a symbol not of victory, but of dignity, not of power, but of principle. And as his story spread far beyond the valley, people found themselves wondering a question that lingered long after the fence was gone. What fences still exist in our world, and who will be brave enough to take them down?